set up the game of Lords of Waterdeep, first, set up the game area. To do this, first place the game board in the middle of the playing area. Next, locate the building tiles. Shuffle the tiles and place them face down in the building stack section of the game board. Flip up the top 3 tiles and place them in the 3 spaces of Builder's Hall. Now, locate the quest cards, shuffle them, and place them face down on the quest deck space. Flip up the top cards from the deck and place them in each of the 4 spaces of the Cliff Watch Inn. Then, shuffle the intrigue cards and place them in the space labeled Intrigue Deck. Next, set up the supply. In the supply, place the 4 different colored cubes, the 2 values of gold, and the victory point tokens. Place 3 of the victory points tokens on each of the 8 spaces of the rounds track. Finally, place the 100 victory point tokens and the ambassador and lieutenant pieces near the game board. These may or may not be used in the game. The 100 victory point tokens are used to show that a player has gone over 100 points by placing the 100 victory points token under the matching marker when they go over 100 points. The ambassador and lieutenant are gained by playing in different buildings or completing different quests during the game. After setting up the game area, each player will set up their player area. To set up each player's area, each player will choose a color to play as, and take the agents, the building control markers, the score marker, and the player mat in the corresponding color. Their building control markers will be placed to the side of their player mat. Each player will place one of their agents near the round 5 space on the rounds track. These agents will become available to the player during round 5. Their score marker will be placed on the 0 space of the scoring track, which runs along the perimeter of the game board. Next, each player will place a certain number of the remaining agents on the agent pool area of their player mat. In a 2-player game, each player will place 4 agents on their mat. In a 3-player game, each player will place 3 agents on their mat. And in a 4 or 5-player game, each player will place only 2 agents on their mat. These agents are the ones they will play the game with, so they can place the others not placed on their mat back in the box. Next, each player will gain their cards. First, they will gain their Lord card for the game. Shuffle the Lord cards, and deal 1 face down to each player. You may look at your Lord card, but make sure to keep it secret from all other players until the end of the game. Return all unused Lord cards to the box without looking at them. Next, give each player their starting quest cards. Deal 2 face-up quests to each player in the game. These cards will be the player's active quests and will remain face-up for all other players to see. Next, deal players their starting intrigue cards. Deal 2 face-down intrigue cards to each player. Each player may look at their intrigue cards, but should keep them secret from all other players during the game. Now, the player who most recently visited another city will become the first start player and will receive the start player marker. Finally, each player will gain their starting gold. It should be noted that the smaller gold is worth 1, and the larger gold is worth 5. The start player, who is holding the start player marker, will start the game with 4 gold. The player to their left will gain 5 gold. The next player will gain 6 gold, and so on, with each player gaining 1 more gold than the previous player, until all players have received their starting gold. After setting up the game area and each player's area, players are ready to start the game. The game of Lords of Waterdeep is played out in rounds. A few things happen before each round of the game begins. First, remove the 3 victory point tokens from the space furthest to the left on the rounds track. The number displayed after doing it will display the current round. Place 1 of the victory point tokens on each of the 3 buildings in Builder's Hall. This step will happen at the beginning of each round, so during the start of round 2, players will remove the 3 victory point tokens from the round 2 space. There are a few other things that will occur at the start of each round. As the game plays out, players will purchase building tiles and place them around the game board. Each player will look at any building tiles they purchased. If they have any building tiles that say that they should do something during the start of the round, they will complete whatever the tile says to do. For example, this tile says to place 3 victory points on this space. These building tiles can also accumulate several goods, if they are not played on during the previous rounds. This step only occurs on tiles that have been purchased, so tiles still in Builder's Hall will not have things placed on them. There is also one special thing that will occur at the beginning of round 5. After players remove the victory point tokens from the space, they will release their agents from the holding area. Each player will take their corresponding agent and place it in their agent pool. For the rest of the game, they will have an extra agent to place. After completing all of the required actions for the start of the round, players are ready to start playing. Each player will take turns one at a time, always starting with a player holding the first player marker, and then going around in clockwise order. Assigning an agent is the first action you take on your turn. As long as you have agents in your pool, you must use this action, unless in the very rare instance there is no place you may legally assign. While assigning an agent, place one of your agents in a space that no other player is in, unless you have a special card that allows you to do otherwise. After assigning your agent, you will take the action for that space. For example, Red placed in the Grinning Lion Tavern, and would gain 2 black adventure cubes from the supply. When placing agents, you must be able to complete the instructions for that space, or you may not play there. There are 2 types of buildings players can place their agents in: basic buildings and advanced buildings. Let's take a closer look at these 2 types of buildings. Basic buildings are the fixed buildings that are always available during each game. These buildings are printed on the game board. Most of these buildings only allow 1 agent, and they give the items shown. For example, Castle Waterdeep gives the player the start player marker and 1 intrigue card. Some of the buildings allow more than 1 player to play in them. For example, Cliffwatch Inn allows 3 players to play in it. Each of the 3 spaces gives a player a slightly different benefit. The leftmost space allows a player to choose 1 quest card from the 4 face-up quests, and they also gain 2 gold from the supply. The middle space allows a player to choose one of the face-up quest cards and also draw the top intrigue card from the deck. The space furthest to the right gives a slightly different benefit. A player that places their agent there may discard all of the current face-up quests to the quest discard pile, and then they will draw 4 new quests to replace them. After this, they will choose one of the face-up quests for themselves. After any player takes a quest, they will replace it with the top card of the quest deck. If at any time during the game the quest deck or the intrigue deck runs out of cards, simply shuffle the cards in the discard pile and form a new deck. Another building that has more than 1 space is Waterdeep Harbor. Whenever a player places in one of these spaces, they must play one of their intrigue cards. When you play an intrigue card, follow the directions on the card, and then the card will be discarded, in most cases. Some intrigue cards, however, will stay in play. Intrigue cards will always be one of 3 things: a utility, which typically helps you and sometimes your opponents; an attack, such as this card that allows you to steal one of your opponent's cubes; or a mandatory quest. When you play a mandatory quest, you give it to one of your opponents. Now that player must complete the mandatory quest before they can complete any of their other quests. Players will always place in these spaces in order, from the 1 space on the left to the 3 space on the right. Builder's Hall is the last basic building in the game. 1 player is allowed to place their agent per building tile. Builder's Hall allows you to purchase the building tile you placed on. You must be able to purchase it, or you cannot place on it. To purchase a tile, pay the cost shown on the top left corner. The cost is shown in gold, so this tile costs 8 gold. After paying the cost, score any victory points on the tile, remove the tile you purchased, and replace it with the top building tile. Then, place the building tile on one of the open building slots. Place one of your building control markers in the corner of the building to show that you are the owner. The slots shown do not limit the amount of buildings that can be built. If there are no more building slots left, simply place the tile to the side of the game board. Some buildings have directions to follow immediately after they are purchased. For example, this building says when purchased, place 1 purple cube on the space. After a player purchases a building tile, they have introduced a new advanced building that can be placed in. Anytime a player other than the owner places one of their agents in a building, that player will get a benefit, and the owner will also get a benefit. The owner's benefit can be thought of as a rent for using the building. For example, on this tile, blue would get to take 2 black cubes and 1 purple cube, and green would get to choose 1 black cube or 1 purple cube. If a player places in their own building, they only gain the benefit in the middle and do not gain the owner benefit. Advanced building tiles can give players several different things. Some tiles will give players exact things. Some tiles allow a player to choose. This tile allows a player to trade any of their 2 cubes for any 3 cubes of their choice. Some tiles require a player to purchase items, such as this one that requires the player to spend 2 gold, and then they may gain 2 cubes. When a player plays in the stone house, they will gain 1 gold for each building tile in play. Building tiles in play are only those purchased by players, so unclaimed buildings in Builder's Hall do not count. Several buildings will accumulate different items as the game goes on. These will have a brown color to them. For example, when purchased, this tile gets 2 orange cubes placed on it. At the beginning of each round, 2 more cubes are also placed on it. Whenever a player places their agent on a tile of this type, they will gain all of the goods placed on the tile. There are a few special advanced building tiles that we will take a look at now. The first building is the Hero's Garden. This building allows the player who played in it to gain any one of the 4 face-up quests on the game board and place it in their player area. If they have the items that the quest requires, they may complete the quest immediately and gain 4 bonus victory points. If they can't immediately complete the quest they gained, they will still keep it. They will just not be able to score the 4 bonus victory points. It should be noted that if any player gains a card in this way, but has a mandatory quest still face up in their player area, that player may not complete a quest gained by Hero's Garden to gain the 4 bonus victory points. The Palace of Waterdeep is the second of the special advanced buildings. This building can be rather difficult to understand. When any player assigns one of their agents to this building, they will immediately gain the Ambassador piece. The Ambassador will not be played by the player holding it until the beginning of the next round. You are allowed to play it before any other player has placed any agents, so you get first pick of the whole area. If the Palace of Waterdeep is removed from the game for any reason, the Ambassador will also be removed from the game. The final special advanced building we'll look at is the Zor Star. Whenever a player places in this building, they will choose any other space that one of their opponent's agents is on and use that space's action as if they had played their own agent on it. When you use the benefits of a building while using the Zor Star action, the owner would still gain the owner benefits. So green would gain 1 black cube or 1 purple cube. If you use the Zor Star's action to use the Waterdeep Harbor action that another player is placed on, you may still play 1 intrigue card from your hand, but you may not reassign your agent at the end of the round. Some versions of the rules state that you can reassign. This was printed in error and should be disregarded. On each player's turn, they must play 1 agent if they can. After playing an agent, they have the option of using the second action for their turn, which is playing one of their face-up quest cards from their player area. To complete a quest, the player must have all of the items that the quest requires. For example, this quest requires 2 white cubes and 4 gold. The player will discard the items required back to the supply, and then immediately gain the reward for their quest. Most quests have a victory point amount that the player will immediately score. For example, this quest will gain the player 5 victory points. If the quest is a plot quest, such as this one, tuck it under the completed plot quest section of your player mat. Plot quests have ongoing rewards that last for the rest of the game. If the quest you completed was not a plot quest, gain the reward, and then place the quest card face down on your player mat. There is one special quest that should be noted. The Recruit Lieutenant quest gains a player no victory points, but the player that completes it will gain the Lieutenant piece and add it to their agent pool. They may now use the Lieutenant as one of their agents for the rest of the game. While deciding which quests to complete, players should make sure to check their Lord card. Some Lords score extra points for completing a certain type of quest. For example, this Lord will score a player 4 extra points at the end of the game, for each commerce quest and each warfare quest they completed. Players do not have to play the quests that their Lord card mentions, but it is a good way to gain extra points at the end of the game. If any player was given a mandatory quest by another player, they must complete that quest first before they can complete any of their other quests. After a player takes their turn, placing one agent and choosing whether or not to complete one of their quests, the next player in clockwise order will take their turn. Players will continue taking turns in clockwise order until all of their agents are either gone from their player mat or they cannot legally place them. Each round of the game ends when all agents that legally can be played have been played. After all players' agents have been placed for the round, anyone who placed an agent in Waterdeep Harbor will remove their agent and place it in another open building. They will reassign in order, so the player in the 1 space will reassign first, and the player in the 3 space will reassign last. Some cards in the game allow a player to place in a space where another agent is already placed. If this happens in Waterdeep Harbor, the player who was placed in that space first will reassign first. The second player will reassign next. If the ambassador was placed in Waterdeep Harbor, the player who placed it there is not allowed to reassign it, so it will remain where it is. After reassigning their agent from Waterdeep Harbor, the player will gain the benefits of the building they reassigned their agent to. So essentially, any player that plays in Waterdeep Harbor will get an extra turn. All players will then return their agents to their agent pool. If any player gained the lieutenant during the game, they will always return the lieutenant to their pool as well. If the ambassador was placed during the round and not gained by another player, remove it from the game board as well, and place it back to the side. When the round ends, as long as it is not currently round 8, players will start a new round. The game ends after round 8 is complete. A way to tell when round 8 is complete is that all of the victory points on the rounds track will be gone. Each player will have scored a certain amount of victory points during the game, from things such as quests they completed and buildings they placed in. They will add the following points to their current score during final scoring. Each player in the game will gain 1 victory point for each adventurer cube they have remaining in their tavern, so this player would gain 5 points for their 5 cubes. They also gain 1 victory point for every 2 gold they have in their tavern. For example, this player has 5 gold, so it scored 2 points. Finally, each player will gain points described on their Lord card. For example, this player would gain 4 points for each commerce quest and each warfare quest they completed during the game. Their completed quests are those they placed face down on their player mat. So if that player had 2 commerce quests and 2 warfare quests, they would score an additional 16 points. The player who ends the game with the most victory points is the winner. In the event of a tie, the tied player with the most remaining gold is the winner.